Did you look at the Clinton Foundation?
I'm not going to comment on the existence or non-existence of any other investigations.
Was the Clinton Foundation tied into this investigation?
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that.
That's probably not calming the critics, with questions still swirling about donations to the Clinton Foundation while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. It's something I talked to author Peter Schweizer about this morning. What can you tell us that you believe is the most important or most damning evidence of Clinton cash and lies in your book?
Well, I think it's follow the money, the oldest adage in politics, but in this case it's foreign money. I look to the uranium deal, whereby the State Department under Hillary Clinton approved the transfer of 20% of U.S. uranium to the Russian government through a small Canadian company, and 8 shareholders in that company just happened to send $145 million to the Clinton Foundation. But, Maria, overall, it's the pattern of behavior. Every time that there's a decision that's made by Hillary Clinton, there seems to be and appears to be money associated from an interested party that ends up in the Clintons' pockets one way or the other.
Reaction now from Matthew Whitaker of the Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust, along with Democratic strategist Brad Gersman. Good to see you, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Matthew, why did he refuse to answer that?
Well, I mean, like he said, he can't comment about the existence or non-existence of an investigation. As a former federal prosecutor, to me that is a key word, and that means that there is an ongoing investigation. Otherwise, he could have just brushed it off and said there is no investigation. So that was kind of a line that signaled to me there is an ongoing investigation of the Clinton Foundation.
Okay. Well, we know that the email situation could not have closed down the talking points and the situation around the foundation with all the money transfers. Isn't that true, Brad?
Well, look, when you're talking about the foundation, it's a more complicated scenario because it comes down to this, is whether or not there was any benefit gained by any party by making donations to the foundation. And that's a very, very difficult burden for the prosecution to prove. And I agree, I agree that, clearly, by the fact that Comey mentioned that he couldn't mention whether there was an investigation, that clearly there is an investigation at some level. It doesn't mean that they're, that they're on fire about this investigation, but clearly they're looking into this.
Some people think there's more damning evidence in the foundation investigation over the email investigation. Let me get both of your takes on what you heard today. Brad, you first.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think, look, if you're looking for a witch hunt and you're looking to find a way to indict the First Lady, the Secretary of State, the presumptive, the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party, if you're looking for that, then this is terrific. Okay, every single political issue that you have with her that would normally just be talking points in an ongoing dialogue, now instead you make it a criminal prosecution and ask the FBI to go after it.
Well, I don't think that the media made it a criminal prosecution. The Inspector General recommended it to the FBI, and then the FBI investigated it.
Okay, but, it just continues on, and when will this all end? And look, you had Comey come in here, and Comey just explained point blank. I mean, he was under oath, too. They talk about other things that were said under oath that some people believe or don't believe. Comey was under oath today, and he told the story. He told it exactly the way it was, the way he saw it. But there are also political talking points that can be gained by the Republicans.
Yeah.
That should be enough.
Why would Comey conduct an interview, Matthew Whitaker, with Hillary Clinton and not put it under oath and not record the interview?
Well, that's one of the arguments that is long-standing with the FBI and the U.S. attorney community, is that they don't record their interviews. There's been a lot of pressure for them to do it, and I know in certain districts they do, but by and large they just do a 302 report after their interview. I was surprised to hear she wasn't under oath, though. That's a pretty typical par for the course when you're talking to a witness, but it was probably negotiated between the parties as to the rules of the game.
Your reaction, Mark, to what you heard today?
Well, I know Jim Comey personally. He was the Deputy Attorney General when I was U.S. Attorney, and I have a lot of respect for him, and I thought he handled the questions very well. But I also, again, this is typical Jim Comey. You're not going to get, whether you're cheering for one side or the other, anything from him but what he views as the truth. And so we saw that today, where he would admit that Hillary Clinton did not tell the truth to the American people at times, but at the same time he said that when she sat down for 3.5 hours on Saturday that he did find her truthful. So, I mean, it's kind of depends on which team you're cheering for. Unfortunately, for Hillary Clinton, this isn't going to end.
Was it odd to either of you that Comey said he did not look at the under oath recorded testimony of Hillary Clinton when she spoke to Congress, when she said, I did not send or receive classified information, lots of things that were later found to be false?
Well, the question was, before him, was a question of her use of an email server, a private email server, and the propriety or impropriety of that. I mean, it now becomes, is this going to become a fishing expedition where every single thing that is related to that or not or outside of that becomes something that needs to be under scrutiny? And clearly, you could just keep, making these rings around this issue wider and wider to such an extent that everything could be under investigation at some point.
Well, what's under investigation is her use of a private server.
Right, but it wasn't about whether or not she lied under oath. And the other question is, lying under oath is a very dicey area, and I think my host here, who's Mr. Whitaker, would know this as well as I do as a former prosecutor, is that this thing starts to, the intent matters. Intent matters. I think Comey made that a major marker in what he said yesterday, and I think that's what ultimately will become an important factor when it comes to whether or not she lied under oath.
So let me ask you this real quick. We got to jump here, but what was the intention then? What was the intent of having a private server, do you think?
Well, the intent for Hillary Clinton was to avoid public access to her personal email system and to be allowed the first cut and the first review before anything was turned over. And a lot of this delay that Brad mentions is because she didn't turn over her emails for 2 years, and so we are bumping up against an election because of that delay.
Right, and then there were 30,000 that were destroyed or hidden that Comey had to discuss. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
We will see you soon.